Hello and welcome to Shoreline Music Monthly. My name is Mark Koshwitz. This is episode 77 of our little series of showcasing the best and brightest in the talent of typically singers and songwriters. We've done a bunch of other larger bands as well. COVID knocked us down a little. We're heading back to our roots, trying to get back in touch with the singer-songwriter end of things. I'm very happy to have in the studio with me today a gentleman who actually I ended up finding his music at work, which is really weird, but I worked in a lab that had no windows, no reception, and listened to Cygnus radio down there to get me through. And every once in a while, you know, when you're listening to music, you hear something, it catches your ear, you need to find out who it was. At least 2-3 different times. It was the gentleman who joins me today in the studio. I'd like to introduce you to Brian Dolzani.
Hey, how are you, Mark?
I am super. I'm
Excellent.
so glad that we were able to make this work.
Absolutely.
I know that it was a little bit of a trial with, I got knocked down by the plague. We're back up.
Yeah.
We had the first snow of the year.
Yeah, that's pretty historic.
Last night, this morning.
Right.
And,
Right.
And you had a little bit of a roll because you're from Fairfield. Right?
Yeah. Just cruised up 95, not a problem. I'm glad it cleared, the roads cleared out, and here we go.
It was
no
really
problem.
a non-factor, but you never know what it's
Yeah.
going to do when it's coming.
Exactly.
But I'm so glad that this was able to happen.
Yeah, me too.
So to give our viewers an idea on maybe a little bit of your background, just a little, when you got the music bug, what drew you to it, that kind of thing.
I had the music bug early. We had a piano in our living room, and I was just drawn to music right away.
Oh, wow.
My mom had some musical ability. She was in the church choir, and so my dad had none, but he was probably the biggest music fan around as far as like the Beatles and the Beach Boys, and so his big stereo system with all his LPs and cassettes way back when I was a kid in the living room was just the coolest,
Nice.
So between his musical collection and the piano and my mom's influence, I just hopped up on the piano and started playing. We got a keyboard when I was younger. I started off on violin, saxophone in the school band, picked up an acoustic and electric guitar kind of simultaneously when I was about 14, 15.
Well,
and the rest is history.
Yeah,
that is the
age.
time. Yeah,
That's the
yep.
age.
So came out of my shell as far as, presenting myself to other people, and that was kind of how I wanted to communicate, as a shy kid, introverted kid, I still am. But that was my way of self-expression, and I related to all the people making music on the radio, So
Yeah. And it's big having, even like you mentioned your dad in the stereo. I mean, that is so formative, because if there's music playing in the house, then music's just a part of your life.
Right.
And not everybody has that. So when you do, I mean, it's great having. So your mom played the piano?
She did a little bit. Yeah. She did a little bit. So we probably played together a little bit, and we would kind of sing harmonies together, singing Chicago songs in the car. She was a big Chicago fan, Peter Cetera.
So you started
stuff like that.
You started singing right off the bat?
A little bit. Yeah, I was always really shy. I never really thought of singing as my thing. It was always playing or just the music part. I didn't quite have the vocal assertiveness that I've grown into now. Never thought of myself as a singer when I was a kid, but once you start writing songs, you're like, someone's got to sing them. I don't want anyone else to sing them, so I'm going to have to sing them.
And that weird, was not. It's not weird, I guess, but thank the Beatles, I guess. There's no more really a Tin Pan Alley type thing. I mean, now, if you're going to be an artist, you're almost expected. Unless you're in a true pop field, to it should be your voice.
Yeah.
It's what you want to say, and so
And I think a lot of people are attracted to that too.
Absolutely.
Thankfully, obviously, that's a really cool thing. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now, do you still play any of the other instruments? The sax you mentioned?
Yeah, I tried to a bunch of years ago and nothing came out.
Yeah.
So there's something with the mouth and the reeds that you really got to keep up practice.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to pull that off again, and I probably couldn't play the violin if I tried either. It's something tricky about that.
Oh,
But,
it's really easy to make it screechy.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
yeah.
I didn't really want to screech it too. My son is a very good classical pianist and violinist.
Oh, wow.
I let them take away my soul every day. I made friends with depression. I wore it like a shirt. Blue was the sky, and black were their lies. There's only just so long that you can swallow the hurt. Who I am, is flesh and bone and tiny bits of stars. Who I am, what I could not see is everything that's beautiful in me. I didn't know where I was welcome. I feared every outcome, wishing I could die. If I couldn't run, I learned to hide myself away. Soon came the day I was emptier than a rain barrel in the desert sun. Who I am is flesh and bone and tiny bits of stars. Who I am, what I could not see is everything that's beautiful in me. At any point in time, your soul is on the line, and please don't sell it just because someone will pay. Don't you wear that chain, it only brings you pain. Stay away from wardens and you'll be grateful every day. Who you are is flesh and bone and tiny bits of stars. Who you are, what you could not see is everything that's beautiful to me. Who I am is everything that's beautiful in me. Yeah, it's everything that's beautiful in me. So I've been recording at home. I've been doing demos for a lot. I've had equipment just kind of around in my, house or rooms or whatever, and I've always dabbled and even made a bunch of records back then, early 2000s on my own. So I've always had full arrangement ideas whenever I write a song. Yeah, like I know kind of what I want to hear and can make it happen.
Yeah, because, well, that background apparently came in kind of handy for you during the pandemic.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I went back to it. I was like, I need something to do while the world is shut down. I took out my Tascam 4-track, my big unit. It's about this big, pop a cassette
so actual
in.
tape?
Actual tape, yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So I recorded this record, We Are Magic, to cassette, had it mastered, boosted it up, fattened it up a little bit, made it ready for play, and that's how that happened. So
Very cool.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So if there's an upside to the god-awful hell of the pandemic put us through, it kind of pushed you back to,
Yeah.
so there was like a little DIY period early, and then you end up kind
exactly.
of
Yeah, because I wasn't doing it as well as I could have, or as well as, you know, being in a real studio would have been. So I.
Because the one before this, you were over dirt floor, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and that was fantastic.
Yeah, got some nice
Exactly.
gear.
Top of the line,
Nice
yeah,
gear.
yeah. It's funny, I'm now, since I've been building a little bit of a home studio now, I'm really into gear more than I mean, I was back then.
You were a guitarist. You were
Yeah,
into
but I was
gear.
like worried about my songs and I wanted to play. You know, I wasn't worried about how it was all being recorded, but I'm definitely geeking out on all that stuff now, and I find it fascinating. You know, it's the other side to playing and writing. It's the recording and what are you using and how it sounds and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of back on the engineering and producing side of my own music, which I'm really liking, because I like being in control of everything from start to finish. And I've got plenty of ideas.
So you mentioned, you know, that you've building gear in a home studio. So are you already working on the follow-up to We Are Magic?
Sort of. The way this came about was very sly, which I kind of like it. You know, I ended up just starting with the 4-track demos. Like I just needed something to do, and I wanted a project, and it's just kind of a challenge. You know, can I get my current ideas down on tape? And then after doing it for a while, I was like, this could maybe be an album. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just recording, getting it to sound like what I want it to sound like, and maybe it will. You know, I'm not putting too much of a wrap around it or pressure right now, but definitely loving
Well,
the process.
as they kind of appear, and then do they go together?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things I find anyway, I mean, I haven't listened to your whole catalog, but there always seems to be a little optimism in a lot of it, even in like Culture of Fighting.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, you know, it talks about, you know, where we're at, but then at the end, it's like, well, you know, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Like,
so-
I think we could do this if we, you know, put our heads together and hearts together. Yeah. I guess I've
That's
always
a
been
common theme
been
and
that way.
just-
Yeah. I don't like to be naively optimistic or just too, you know, I seem to have both sides. Like, I like to look at things kind of melancholy way, or like I don't know about dark is the right word, but just feeling sensitive oriented, you know, and then try to turn it into something else.
Find the hope somewhere buried in there.
Yeah. So that. There's a man and there's a woman, heated in the throes of devotion to their own idea. And there's the left and there's the right, there's the day and then there's the night. Yell loud enough and they'll believe you. Become a culture of fighting, but fighting leads to more fighting. It's the state we're in, permanent or temporary. There's no doubt that it's getting scary. Can anybody possibly win? Anybody possibly win? There are friends and there are others, enemies and sworn ex-lovers. You can call them how you see them, but one day you'll have to lose it, so you may as well just choose it. You gotta learn to see
beyond then. We become a culture of fighting, but fighting leads to more fighting. It's the state we're in, permanent or temporary. There's no doubt that it's getting scary. Can anybody possibly win? Can anybody possibly win? Maybe we can if we get together now. I think we can if we get together now, somehow. We become a culture of fighting, but fighting leads to more fighting. It's the state we're in, permanent or temporary. There's no doubt that it's getting scary. Can anybody possibly win? I think we can, I think we can. I think we can, I think we can.
Cool.
All right,
do it.
I am back with Brian Dolzani, and he has foolishly agreed to play From the Hip with me, so we are going to go. It is just less, not obscure questions, but less, I guess, less normal interview questions.
Yeah,
and just
less
They all
relevant.
matter.
Right.
Do you remember what the first music you ever bought with your own money was?
It's probably before this, but the first time I can remember is probably a Van Halen tape. Van Halen 2, I remember. I was a huge, when I was 14, 15, huge Van Halen fan. So
They had a pretty good
something like
guitarist
that.
in
Yeah,
that band,
yeah. So that Eddie was my favorite back then, and learning Eruption and all that stuff. And
Nice.
so that's kind of what
I
sticks
saw them,
out.
I saw them as the opening act. I never heard of them. They opened for Black Sabbath.
I heard that.
And
yeah, it was quite a tour.
It was that
No
was
kidding.
crazy.
We're at New Haven or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd
Coliseum.
never
Wow.
heard of them before, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden these four guys are just blowing up the arena.
No kidding.
And
That's cool.
That was astonishing.
Awesome.
All of a sudden, rock and roll was dangerous again.
Right.
And then because this was pre-spandex.
Yeah. Right.
you know,
Right.
so, I mean,
Exactly.
They ended
Before
up
it went that
choreographed
way.
and
Yeah,
whatnot, but
yeah,
it got a
yeah.
little less dangerous. but-
Right. Raw for sure. That's cool.
All right, we're heading into what I like to consider, because I'm weird, farm market season. Are you a farm market shopper?
I am, yeah. We have a great one in downtown Fairfield. It's right down the street from us, so we walk down there on Sunday mornings. A couple of our neighbors, they run a stand.
Nice.
And more and more, definitely.
Excellent.
Yep.
Do they have music?
Every once in a while. It's funny, I've played a whole bunch of farmers markets, but never really found the contact for this one. It's not every week. I see it every once in a while because it's there's a gazebo there, Fairfield gazebo, and so I think maybe every once in a while someone's playing, but it's not a regular part of the market. If it was, I
love it.
probably would
I love it when it's
investigate.
music.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite songwriter that you don't know personally?
I don't know personally. It'd have to be Neil Young. I mean, he's as far as my sound and vocally, like I get it probably at least every time I play. Someone says you sound like him, and I don't mind. He's probably my biggest influence. Just kind of comes out that way. But yeah, his songs from when this goes back when I was just started.
Well, there were a lot of
playing
different
the
Neil Young.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I mean, I was drawn towards the classic, the kind of
Harvesty.
the harvesty, yeah. But then even the more out there stuff like the Loner and Down by the River and all that. When I was a young kid, something about his voice just resonated with me, and the lyrics too. They weren't just about regular things, So I'd always strive for what's not regular,
It's a good choice.
Yeah, I think so. Someone's got to do it.
This one I have to ask in almost everyone, just because it's tradition now, apparently. Cannolis.
Okay, yeah.
Yes or no? Do you eat them?
I do when I can. Yeah, I feel like I didn't. I had one not too long ago. Yeah, what was it? Was it? Did we get some for Valentine's Day or something? Probably. Oh. Yeah.
So
I love cannolis. Yeah.
All right.
And there's I'm gonna miss the name. When we were in Boston, maybe a year or two ago, I think there's probably a lot of good cannoli places in Boston, but there's one that stands out, super famous, Instagrammable. I don't remember, but we've been there.
I'll check.
It's good. Yeah,
when I get home.
I forget the name of it.
What? Because you've traveled
Yeah.
quite a bit playing.
Yeah.
What is your favorite venue to play outside of Connecticut?
Okay. The first one that comes to mind that's really wild is in Charleston, South Carolina. It's called Awindaw Green. And I've actually sent a couple friends there too when they were asking me where to play down there. I'm like, oh, check that. So it's once a week, every Wednesday throughout the entire year because it's nice. It's outdoors. It's like it's in the I'm gonna say swamp, but it's not a swamp. But it's just the lowlands. It's not wet or anything, but it's just the jungle of South Carolina, lowland jungle down there. It's awesome. There's a bunch of lights, and it's like a party all year long, every week throughout the year. So I play there a bunch of times, and that's a really fun out there kind of.
It sounds cool.
Kind of a wild.
I've camped with
place.
my son inland South Carolina, and yeah, it gets.
Yeah.
I mean, this moss hanging.
Yeah,
all that
exactly.
great. It's
Yeah,
bizarre.
yeah, it is. It is. It feels like another world.
It does.
That's pretty cool.
All right, last one.
Yep.
When was the last time that you went sledding? You have to think that long. It wasn't this morning.
Yeah, no, it was not this morning. It was a long time ago. Probably, we used to, since I grew up in Fairfield, the Fairfield University Hill. I don't know if you're familiar with the town, but Fairfield U has a massive hill, and growing up there, I grew up down the street, and that was probably the last time I went.
Wow.
I probably
Really?
took my kids there. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, because we had when I was a kid, we would go to it's not Fairfield, but it's aiming that way. Booth Memorial Park in Stratford, I think it was.
Okay. Okay.
We'd aim for that. That was a big hill, but I lived in Milford at the time, so
Yeah.
it wasn't that far. But
Right. Yeah, I mean, we definitely took our kids sledding too. So it was probably it was that hill, but when they were young, early 2000s. So it could have been 20 years. But
well, thank you for playing my silly game.
you're welcome. I think I survived.
You did. Did well.
Sweating it out, standing on the sun. It's a beautiful feeling, it's a beautiful life. Our beautiful souls living in the moment. We are magic, turning darkness into light. We are magic, a little bit tragic. We are magic. Birds of a feather, take me under your wing. Teach me how to soar, teach me how to fly. Strangers at first, lovers at last. We are magic, it's that look in our eyes. We are magic, a little bit tragic. We are magic. Ooh, 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 sweating it out, standing on the sun, in the perfect crazy company. The closer we get to burning out, is the closer we get to being free. We are magic, a little bit tragic. We are magic. We are magic. We are magic. We are magic. Ooh, 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 ooh,
All right, well, thank you once again for watching Shoreline Music Monthly. We'll be hopefully back on a little more regular schedule. We've got a few guests already lined up for the next few months. We mentioned farmers markets already. They're coming. Make sure you visit your local farm market. If they don't have music, tell them they should. And get out and see a show, all right? These folks are out there playing their hearts out, and a lot of them are really good. So we have a lot of great venues around here. You are what makes the music scene, so just get out and see a show. We'll see you next month. Thanks.